So I just watched Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and I quite enjoyed the film. And today we're going to be doing a non-spoiler review. And everyone watching, please do not comment any spoilers. I've of course seen the entire film, but I do not want any spoilers in the comment sections for those people who are coming in looking for a review. And today, again, we're going to be reviewing it with no spoilers at all. And we are going to be doing a spoiler discussion around this week. So if you want to make sure you stay tuned for that, then make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on the notification bells. That way you get notified for future content here on the channel. My name is Isaac, and I am the host of this hereby multiverse of movies. And let's get into Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Now, I was going into this film skeptical, even though I'm a big fan of Venom and Carnage from the comics. I was excited to finally see a live action Carnage, because Carnage has always been one of my favorite Spider-Man villains of all time, and to see him go head to head with Venom, what are my thoughts on it? I'll get into that in a bit. First of all, let's say who impressed me. Tom Hardy, once again, was just awesome, amazing, completely rock and roll cool in the movie. I love his relationship with Venom, the symbiote Venom, and Eddie Brock, both of them connecting very well once again. Let me say, if you're not a fan of the goofy comedy from the first Venom movie, you probably wouldn't like this goofy comedy. I'm a big fan of buddy cop movies, and this again is a buddy cop movie. This is about two friends, trying to pack their relationship, trying to make it the best it can be. And I do believe this movie is massively much better than the first film. But let me get into the rest of the actors now. Woody Harrelson, great as always as Carnage. I cannot remember the name of her, but the love interest of Eddie Brock, she once again was basic. Like, one of my criticisms from the last Venom movie is that it felt like Tom Hardy was carrying that movie and nobody else was helping him. But this time he had Woody Harrelson, who balanced off the film and finally gave us a good antagonist, because to me, Riot is one of the worst villains of all time in the comic book movie industry. Shriek, cannot remember her actor's name, but Shriek, awesome, great. She was not in it too much, but in the scene she was great. She was awesome. She was powerful. She was immense. And I really love that romance dynamic between Cletus Cassidy and Shriek. I love the Carnage Shriek kind of mayhem. I just love that. And there's a lot of things about this movie I quite love. I love how the 1 hour and 30-minute mark is perfect. I mean, yeah, it could have done with 10 more minutes, but to me, it felt great. This movie didn't have to be too long. This movie didn't have to be too short. It was just there. It hit the right spot, and it fit in a perfect tone. And this movie was very self-aware. One thing I criticized about the last Venom movie, by the way, I'm not the biggest fan of the first Venom movie. I like it, but I don't love it at all. It's the kind of movie that I watch once, I enjoyed it, and then that's it. That's about it. Then I forget about it. And this movie had something that I liked more about the second one than the first one. And in Let There Be Carnage, they're very self-aware that this is not a serious movie. In the first Venom movie, there are times where it feels like they want to be serious, they want to be grounded, but it's like they don't realize how silly that looks in a movie that feels silly. And in Let There Be Carnage, they decided to take away all the stuff that kind of turned down that first film and decided, we're going to improve upon it. We're going to make this film better. And I believe that is the doing of Andy Serkis. Andy Serkis, this is a directorial debut. Dude, this is just awesome what he was able to do with this franchise. I wanted to direct anything Venom related in the future, because honestly, I don't remember the director of the first movie, but Andy Serkis understood Venom more than the first director. It's like he understood the purpose of these films and he understood the point of these films. And I think because of him, this movie was saved. I honestly don't think that the last director would have done nearly as good of a job. And the dynamic between Tom Hardy and Woody Harrelson, I really like how they start off the movie with them and how you see the origins of them. Cletus Cassidy, great in the movie. Everyone was great. This movie, the comedy was just hilarious. I could not stop laughing at the movie. There's just so much bonkers and bananas. The action, to be fair, this movie wasn't packed with action, but the action it did have was pretty good. And, again, everyone was just great. Venom and Eddie's relationship once again is the star of the show. They both stole the show and they both carried the movie, but not in the way that the first movie did. What this second movie did is while they did carry the movie, they had a better plot, they had a better story, and they had better side characters, better villains, and the movie again was very self-aware. Movies need to be self-aware to understand what's the point of the movie, what's the message, what are you trying to do. And I believe Let There Be Carnage did exactly that. It didn't do what the first Venom did. It made it seem so to the point where they weren't self-aware, but the second movie was self-aware, and that's the thing I loved about this film. And ultimately, a lot of things worked in this movie. I really like the fight scene between Venom and Carnage. I really like that. I really like Shriek and Carnage's relationship. I loved Cletus Cassidy and Eddie Brock's relationship. I like seeing how Eddie and Venom are this kind of old married couple that are just kind of sick and tired of each other, but they gotta stick together because that's the point. And I love the moments of the movie, and again the comedy once again top notch. This movie is way funnier than the first one. This movie had scenes that felt like they were supposed to be funny. While in the last movie there were moments where it felt like they weren't trying to be funny, but it ended up feeling funny for some reason. And while I'm saying all the positive, let me now get to the negative. Now, my only few negatives I have is Carnage is not used as well as I thought they would. Carnage is great. Don't get me wrong. The CGI for Carnage is great. His murderous tendency is great. But there's a few things missing. Now, the one thing I don't like, that's a little nitpicky. This didn't affect my viewing experience, but I did not like Carnage's voice. I know you don't hear it in the trailers, you don't hear it anywhere. I love his screech. I love his scream. That feels horrifying. In his first scene, it's horrifying. It felt like a horror movie at points. But one thing I don't like is the way he talks. When Carnage talks, it feels like they're trying to go with this weird hybrid of trying to make him seem demonic, but it also makes him feel kind of silly. I much prefer the animated Spider-Man series, how they did Carnage's voice, where you hear like, my name's Carnage. I can't do his voice, but something like that in those lines. And this movie is more like, I am Carnage, and I'm bad. I'm Red Venom, basically. And that's something I didn't like about Carnage. And also, I felt like there wasn't enough Carnage. There was a lot of Cletus Cassidy, but I felt like there wasn't enough of Carnage. I felt like there should have been more. And while I loved every scene Carnage was in, I ultimately didn't like how little of Carnage we saw, and that's another minor issue of the movie. Now, I did praise the runtime, but there are moments in the movie that felt rushed. It felt like it was just trying to get to the point real quick. It was just going quick, 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 quick. Like, there's systematic moments in the movie about Eddie and Venom's relationship. What does it mean? What does it mean to each one of them? And one thing I don't like about that, while as much as I love those moments, one thing I criticize is this movie kind of just goes so quick to a point where you feel the thematic moments, and then it's kind of just gone fast. There's not time for you to stop and take a deep breath and relax and enjoy the rest of the film. There's none of that. And another thing I don't like is Carnage and Venom only fight once. They only fight once in the entire movie. Now, granted, that fight is pretty long and it is pretty cool, but I felt like having one other side fight at like the beginning kind of would have felt much better, would have fit with the story or the overall narrative. But those are my only criticisms of the film. Now, this isn't a masterpiece. This isn't a best comic book movie of all time. This isn't even in my top 20, to be fair, but it is a fun time. To me, I consider this movie kind of like fast food movie. And by that, I mean, it's those kinds of movies that you go, you watch, you have a lot of fun, you enjoy it, you love it, and then after that you kind of forget it. This movie is not forgettable per se. The first Venom movie is forgettable, but this Venom movie, it's not forgettable, but it's not memorable either. It's kind of like in that limbo spot where you'll watch it if it's on TV, but it's not that kind of movie that you're there like, yes, I want to watch it another time, you know? And that's something about Venom Let There Be Carnage that I liked and disliked. There are things about that. There's also a little, I'm not going to spoil it, but when you go to my spoiler discussion, you're going to hear what's one thing I didn't like. But one minor criticism is there wasn't enough Carnage. There was more Cletus Cassidy. I'm not going to get into spoilers, but there wasn't enough of Carnage. That's just my personal opinion. But overall, I love this movie. I really had a lot of fun. I was laughing a lot. I enjoyed it. And overall, this movie knew what it was, what it is, and what it has to be. having a blast. Andy Serkis, I want to see more of his work. I genuinely think Andy Serkis can make top-notch films. And overall, I did enjoy this film. I think it's awesome-tacular. I think it's fun-tacular. And I think it's a great time if you want to go to the theaters and just have a laugh, have a blast. And please stay tuned for that post-credit. I'm not going to talk about it until I get into my live spoiler discussion in a couple of days. But that post-credit left me in shock. I was in the theater gasping. I was I'm gonna say this, in all comic book movies of all time, I have never been left more shocked and more star-studded than when I saw the Venom Let There Be Carnage post-credit scene. Now, there's only one credit scene, so you don't have to stay tuned after it, but that post-credit scene, you gotta stay there. I saw some people walking out, and I feel bad that they're gonna miss out on such a fun scene. A lot of people saw the leaks, and that's fine if you want to go see leaks, but please, my recommendation is go watch it in the theaters. Go support your local theaters because they need it. They need your support as much as they can, and this movie is definitely a fun time to go watch. It's PG-13, and there are scenes where they are biting heads off, but it's kind of like hidden. So if you're a parent, you have a kid, this movie is great because there's no head biting. And if there are moments where that felt awkward, where Carnage and Venom are like killing people, or it's more Carnage. Venom doesn't really kill as much, but Carnage, there are moments where he kills and bites people's heads, and it's just kind of quick, and it's cutaway. It's like if I was right now to flick, let's say I was to raise the middle finger. I'm not going to raise it, but if, let's say I was to raise it, it's like the camera would just switch, like the camera right there right now would just switch backwards. That's kind of what it felt like when I saw those scenes with Carnage killing people. But that's one of the points of the movies. But yeah, stay tuned for the post-credit scene. The Eminem song was it's actually much better than the Venom song. But yeah, overall, I like this movie. I hope you guys end up enjoying it. Please let me know in the comment section down below. Have you seen it? Have you not? Whatever it is, let me know in the comment section down below. Are you excited? Are you not? Have you seen it? Have you not? Whatever it is, let me know in the comment sections down below. Follow me on my social media platforms at Isaac the Film Geek. Link in the description down below. I'll be seeing you guys next time. Peace.